Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Good evening. Welcome to your Direct Connection. Tonight we connect you with expert answers on recycling. We are putting bad things in the blue bins, and tonight we're going to sort that out. Joining us is Chris Phipps, Director of Anne Arundel County's Department of Public Works. Chris, thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
You wrote a newspaper op-ed a week or two ago on the subject of trying to stop people from putting something in the recycling bin that they love to put in there. What was it?
Right. So the biggest culprit that we're trying to focus our efforts on removing from the single stream recycling, and by the way, Anne Arundel County uses a yellow bin. Baltimore County may use the blue bin, but we use the yellow bin. So we're trying to remove and avoid plastic bags, grocery bags, or there you go.
Such as
yes.
These. These cry out to be recycled.
And they can be recycled. You just can't put them in the single stream recycling container with everything else because it's difficult sorting that material, and I'll let you.
Well, my question is, people are throwing them in the bin like this, or they're filling them with cans and bottles and things that ought to be recycled and then putting them in the yellow bin. Which one, or both are bad?
So both are bad. And what they can do, what we would highly recommend is that they, and really require, is that they separate it at the source. So at the house, keep a separate location where you accumulate your plastic bags after you've gone to the grocery store. And then as it accumulates to a point where you can bring it to, it's now easily transportable, take it to the grocery store. Most of, if not all, will accept that material back as a separate item. We also accept them at our recycling drop-off centers because it's actually a very recyclable material. It's used heavily in the Trex decking. So the composite deck material is often they use this material as a raw commodity to manufacture that product. So it's a very valuable resource. We just can't put it in with everything else that we're recycling.
Overall, how are we doing in getting, we're looking at some of the contents here, our bottles of fabric softener and cans and glass bottles and things. Are we doing better than we used to?
Well, we're holding the line. I think so the sorting facilities, I think every year we're getting better technology. They're getting more efficient at sorting, and that's what this is. This material right here is easily sortable at the sorting facility, so they can sort out the metal cans, the cardboard boxes, or the plastic containers and things like that. So the sorting technology has gotten better, so we can do that. What happens is these plastic bags, if they find themselves in this mixed container, they can gum up and jam up the gears and the belts, the conveyor belts that process this material.
And it's not county workers who are doing the processing. There's a vendor.
Well, in Anne Arundel County, we go to a private vendor. It's a private sorting facility that many of the other jurisdictions use as well. We share the same facility. Some of the other counties have their own as well that supplement that. Baltimore County, Prince George's County, they have their own sorting facilities as well. So
but I've heard the same issue about the plastic bags from other sources as well. You're not alone in wanting people.
We're not alone. In fact, I just recently was watching Baltimore County Public Works, my colleagues there, have a neat video on their website, something called Getting Tangled or Get Untangled, and it's all about how to keep this material out of the recycle bin.
Communications on this is a challenge. In addition to writing the newspaper op-ed, you're putting stickers on people's yellow cans if they're doing it wrong?
Correct. Well, we've been on an education campaign for the last 2 years. Every opportunity we get, we put flyers and mailers out. For 2 years we've been doing this. We've gone to social media. We've launched videos on TV. There have been 4 recent newspaper articles in the Capital Gazette, the Baltimore Sun, the Bay Weekly. So the message, we've been really trying to get the message out to a broad audience. But sometimes as wide a net as we may cast, it isn't wide enough. So unfortunately, we've had to resort now to leaving material at the curb if it has that material in the recycling bin with a sticker that explains why we had to leave it. And unfortunately, we've had to go to that extreme in certain instances, but we think it's direct messaging and it's getting through.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about recycling, what to do, what not to do, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You can also email your question. The email address is livequestions@mpt.org. What else winds up in here that shouldn't be in there?
Oh, we get anything that can bind up gears and machinery. So it could be cords, ropes, hoses, you name it. Sometimes people, they may err on the side of being a little bit too liberal as to what can make it into the bin, and so many of those items we wouldn't accept.
Let's grab a phone call. Prince George's County, this is Jim. Jim, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Yes, I live in Prince George's County, and a number of times I've put empty plastic prescription bottles and plastic medicine bottles are like empty of cough syrup and things like that, and they never collect them. They just leave them in the bottom of my recycle bin.
Interesting. Thank you very much. I don't know how they would do that, because the people, at least in my community, who pick it up just dump the bin. They're not personally gone through it.
A plastic container like that should be accepted in the recycling. Now, if they think it's medical waste or something, then it would be separate and distinct. If you know, we wouldn't take needles and syringes and things like that.
I noticed there's a jar of spaghetti sauce at the bottom here,
right,
and it's completely clean. It's been well rinsed, and I always wonder what to do. I mean, say you have a jar of peanut butter. Do you want it cleaned out? Do you want it halfway cleaned out?
We prefer things that are sticky and cakey like that, like peanut butter. Do your best to clean it out. Something that's easily dissolvable, like spaghetti sauce, or even milk that may be residue inside the carton, we can take that, and that can be handled.
A call from Allegheny County. This is Lisa. Lisa, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Lisa from Allegheny. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm curious to know if there's going to be any kind of state standardization for sizing, information, labeling of the recycle bins, and if there's going to be funding for Western Maryland to help do this.
Lisa, that's a great question. Every county does this by themselves, and you have little differences, right?
Correct. I mean, we all follow MDE guidelines on how to operate our landfills and composting facilities and whatnot. But when it comes to recycling, it is a county by county basis, and it can be driven by economics and business practices and whatnot. So I can't really speak for the state as a whole or other counties. But Anne Arundel County, we have a residential recycling program that's been in place for decades that supports this. One
thing I don't see in here, I do see a paperboard egg carton. I don't see a styrofoam egg carton. You see a lot of those in the store, and the legislature just passed something on banning styrofoam for certain uses. Can it be recycled?
Not through the single stream recycling. So there are some outlets that will take styrofoam, but not through our program.
Okay.
So that has to be separated out.
Call from Queen Anne's County. This is Colin. Colin, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Jeff, my question is, we put our trash in plastic bags. Everyone does that. And surely then the plastic bags, they go into the trash.
Correct.
And so why is it a problem?
Okay, well, thanks very much. We'll drill into it. Exactly why is it a problem?
Well, so the plastic bag that's going to trash will just get landfilled.
Right.
So it's not going through machinery and sorting equipment and whatnot that can bind up that sorting equipment.
Right. So if I hear you right, these things can be recycled.
They can be.
You just can't put them in there with everything else because it gums up the works.
What we call the single stream bin, which is what this is. It's one single stream that's made up of paper, cardboard, plastic, and glass. That's single stream. It cannot take the bags. And the bags can be disposed of in the trash. We'd prefer not, because there is a market for it. As I said, the composite material this can be a raw commodity for that, so we'd prefer that it be separated out. We just can't put it in with the rest of the recycling.
Yeah. You know, I think people take some measure of pride in doing a good job with this. Everybody wants to take care of the environment and the Chesapeake Bay. So I think people want to be compliant, but we fall short, maybe lack of information, or people are in a hurry, or really don't understand all the details. I mean, sometimes, frankly, looking at a recycling bin in an office situation, you see stuff in there that just somebody thought it was a trash can when it wasn't.
Right. I think I'm not going to say that we've gotten complacent, but we've certainly gotten perhaps a little liberal with how we're sorting at the source and expecting where the material is going to go. It still needs to be handled responsibly so we don't limit the markets, because if we don't, these markets will close. We won't be able to take this material to the sorting facility.
Let's talk about those markets for a second, because when the sorting facility reduces this to a bunch of paper, a bunch of plastic, a bunch of glass, the ability to sell that to somebody to be repurposed is changing, right?
Correct, because much of our market, I think it's no surprise, has been the Far East. So it's gone to China and other markets there. And their manufacturing has gotten to the point, to a level of sophistication where it's demanding and requiring cleaner, or what I'd call purer, recycling streams. So they can't be contaminated with these other sources of material. So it's demanding that we get cleaner and smarter with how we're sorting the material, because if we don't, they will, those markets will close. We won't have a place to dispose of these recyclables.
How does that affect the economics of what you do?
A lot, yes, because we were, this past year was the first year that we actually did not receive a check from the sorting facility for our recycled material. We actually had to pay for it to be processed. Now, it's still cheaper, it's still less expensive for us to process recycled material than it is trash, but we'd like to get back to a place where it has a value as a commodity and we're actually making revenue to stem the need for rate increases.
Fairfax, Virginia, this is Suzanne. Suzanne, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Questions.
Yes.
What about clamshell veggie and fruit containers from the grocery store?
What are they made out of?
Well, they're a thin plastic. I've read that the thin plastic can also be a problem, gumming up the works, and not to put those containers in.
But they're rigid. You mean the thing
they're
that
yeah, I mean they're semi-rigid. I mean they're a thin, they're not like a milk carton thickness or a milk, plastic container, or a Sunny D bottle or something. They are thinner.
We'll get you an answer. Thank you.
Our program, we would accept, like, for instance, a comparable would be the plastic eggs, dozen eggs, the plastic container. So that is recyclable. Where it gets a little tricky is if there's too much food residue on any of those plastics, like there's grease and some food residue that's a little bit harder, stickier, we wouldn't want to recycle that. But certainly if it's clean and it's a plastic material, we'll take it.
Email viewer wants to know about the half-gallon juice containers for orange juice. I suppose milk's the same thing.
We'll take it.
It's cardboard. You have a really small one up there.
Yes,
and but it's it's a mix. It's made out of paper, but it's coated with all sorts of plastics.
This would go into the cardboard facility. And
you can handle that one.
Yes, and even the plastic containers of milk or orange juice or lemonade, whatever.
What's the best way for people in Anne Arundel or elsewhere to get answers answers to these questions?
So for Anne Arundel County, you would go to www.recyclemoreoften.com or call our dispatch, our call line 410-222-7951.
Chris Phipps, Anne Arundel County, you're doing good work. Thanks for bringing your garbage with you tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time. Coming up tonight, our Your Health segment, how to keep bad childhood events from impacting your health as an adult. That's next as Direct Connection continues.
Got an unused vehicle going nowhere? Donate it to the one place that can take you any place. Visit mpt.org/vehicles and support the programs you love on MPT.
The MPT app puts our programs right at your fingertips, so you can choose when to watch, what to watch, wherever you want to watch it. Download it now.
I grew up in a small American farming town. Didn't have a lot. I lived with 7 siblings in a single wide trailer. I just felt like, why couldn't life be better for me? I remember to this day, I turned on the TV and saw Les Mis on great performances. The music was so powerful. I believed that I can do that. It truly inspired me. Today I have a full-time career, but I also have a dream, to sing in a prestigious opera company. It takes work, time, dedication. Sharing my love for music with people gives me joy. PBS helped me think anything's possible. Now I really know what I want in life, and that's singing. PBS gave me the confidence to take a chance in myself.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
Joining us for our Your Health segment are Brittany Parham, Assistant Professor of Psychiatry, and Kay Connors, Instructor at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. Thanks to both of you for being with us.
Our pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
We're here to talk about adverse childhood experiences, and we'll get into why we're doing that, but how do you define that?
Adverse childhood experiences, or what's commonly called ACEs, are things that happen in childhood that can be traumatic, frightening, overwhelming to children. And we can talk more about a study where they define 10 ACEs.
How bad, I hate to imagine, but how bad a disaster are we talking about in somebody's childhood?
It doesn't necessarily have to be a disaster. ACEs can be many things, and so that can include parental separation, can include parent incarceration, but it can include something as bad as exposure to a serious hurricane or exposure to community violence, as well as exposure to racism and discrimination. So it can really run the gamut, and the key is on how it's perceived by the youth or the individual who's exposed to the specific event.
Is there an age range that we're focused on?
Yeah, so there was a seminal study in 1991 at the Center for Disease Control and Kaiser Permanente out in San Diego. And they really asked people to look back any time in their childhood before they were 18, if any of these adversities happened to them, including child sexual abuse and neglect, as well as the experience that Dr. Parham talked about.
So there's the initial impact, and then there's a whole lifetime in front of somebody.
That's right.
What are you working to address?
Well, I think what the science has really told us is that the most important thing is that these adversities are preventable. And when they can't be prevented, children can grow up healthy and strong if they have the right supports and resources to help them. So that's really what our focus is to get in there and to to provide school mental health services, to provide support in primary care settings at our medical center, and also be available when really difficult things happen so families and kids feel support.
And additionally, as we think a little bit more about not all wounds are visible, one of the goals is to really build awareness and to let folks know that exposure to ACEs or traumas, as some may refer to them, is actually quite common nationally, with more than 2/3 of Americans endorsing some exposure to an adverse childhood experience. And if we're thinking about marginalized communities or those that are traditionally underserved, those numbers can certainly be higher. And so to bring awareness and to give access to support that are needed.
Or as a society, are we compassionate enough? Are we thoughtful enough about what other people may have gone through?
I think that, I work with a lot of incredible people, and I'm extremely biased. It seems that a lot of people care deeply. And what we have found through engagement in other opportunities to inform the community and work with providers is that people care. And once that information is available, many folks seem really motivated to do their part, to learn more, to get access to the resources needed to support not only their youth, but the educators that may provide education to those students, but also to those primary care providers, folks working in systems like University of Maryland or others, because we play a role as well.
Yeah. Well, I think what we've learned is that once people see the unseeable, they then want to know, what can I do? And how can I speak about things that were once unspeakable? Once you find the words for these really difficult experiences, you can really start the healing process. And not just for families and communities, but for providers too. I think, like you said, people get into this work because they're compassionate and they want to do better. But if we can't talk about it, then it's harder to know how to move forward.
Yeah, I think in life, everybody's in their lane doing whatever it is they're supposed to do on a given day. If you're a teacher, you're teaching, you're working in a healthcare setting. How do you get people to be more attuned to this?
One of the really interesting things that I've been learning over the last couple years is that providers and administrators are really starting to focus on the staff. They're starting to focus on teacher wellness. They're starting to focus on nurses' wellness. They're starting to focus on doctors' wellness. It's a little bit like heal thyself before you can really provide the type of care that you want to provide.
Please.
I'm sorry, and that comes from some of the research as well, because what we know is that adverse childhood experiences don't only affect the individual or their family, but it also affects those providers who are on the receiving end, and their terminologies such as vicarious trauma, so meaning the way that you view the world as a provider can change to something more negative when you're frequently exposed to traumas that your clients have endured. Additionally, secondary traumatic stress, where folks providing the care actually evidencing some PTSD symptoms or post-traumatic stress disorder. And so I think also what Kay is speaking to is we bring together diverse stakeholders. And so for the conversation that's coming up next week, we include not only experts in the field to speak to issues around trauma, but youth are going to be participating, as well as young adults who have had their experiences, to talk about what worked, what didn't, and how we as a community come together to support them.
How can people get more information on the event next week?
Well, they can visit the University of Maryland Medical System.org/community conversations. I believe the event is full, but there will be some live streaming. And what we're hoping is that this is the beginning of a really important conversation. And as Dr. Parham talked about, that people with lived experience have incredible expertise that they'll be speaking and they'll be teaching us.
And you know, people are resilient. Kids are resilient, but there's probably some things that really challenge that.
Yeah. So certainly what we've learned over the past couple decades is the importance of brain development. We know that these type of traumatic experiences can cause changes at the cellular level, at the genetic level, and the way the brain architecture is formed. So we do need to recognize these things and start early.
And the really exciting piece about that is that we also know in building resiliencies, one of the best ways we can do that as providers, as adults in the lives of young people, is to be healthy, to be well, and to model our strengths, and to teach kids by problem solving really well or being optimistic. And so being that model of how to care for oneself and persist and triumph in difficult situations is one way that we can help to address the needs of youth exposed to ACEs.
And I guess to show somebody that you may think you're alone,
And you're not.
but others have been on the path before.
Absolutely. So many have, and that's what the data shows us. But we also know that there are things that can happen that really help youth do better, not only in school, but in their life settings.
Just a few seconds. Are there commonalities in people who do well despite an early adverse childhood experience?
Yes, and the big one is relationships. So the more supportive relationships you have in your life, either early on or throughout your life, the better your health is.
Very good. Please,
That
have a
means
second.
coaches, mentors, faith-based leaders, all those folks who love kids, anyone putting their hands on them makes a difference.
Great place to end it. Brittany Parham and Kay Connors, University of Maryland School of Medicine, thanks very much.
Thanks for your
Appreciate
time
it.
today.
We're back Thursday with Your Money and Business and insights on making, saving, and spending your money. That's Thursday at 7. Now, for all of us here at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching Direct Connection, and have a good night.
Your Health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.